Welcome to the ProLinks Podcast, where we sit down with entrepreneurs, business owners, and professionals to uncover the stories behind their success, the spaces that they operate in, and how they're building for the future. Real talk, real stories, and real estate, all in one place. We're your hosts, Adam Lee.
And Chia.
And today's guest started his career in structured finance at Ernst & Young, analyzing and structuring mortgage-backed securities in the late 2000s. After several years of climbing the corporate ladder, he came to a crossroad that had him yearning for a more fulfilled career. Impacting young minds and community, he made the switch to become a New York City public school teacher. The courageous pivot allowed him to build a side business of private tutoring for his students, all while building enough capital for personal investments into real estate. Today, he shares his insights and journey into his career. Please welcome Raymond Tran to our show, and please give our viewers a brief introduction of yourself.
Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. I would say you talked about what I do, but the biggest thing is to have impact on people. So a platform like this gives a real opportunity to be able to speak to more people and just share the journey. So I really appreciate that.
I've known Ray for 20 years. I recruited him to join our fraternity in 2005. Throughout the years, I've witnessed the various pivots Ray has made in his personal life and career. Through his many milestones, we have found that the common denominator of what drives him is the impact on others. Ray, let's talk about circa 2010, when you made your decision to walk away from your cushy corporate job to become a public school teacher. Walk us through the mindset and the emotions that arose during that time.
So in my early 20s, I remember waking up and being really excited to go to work. And then as the months, weeks, and years went by, I lost that passion. So I found myself waking up every morning and wanting to call in sick. I thought to myself, if I can't do this for 40 years, I need to find something else. So I met a friend, New Year's Eve 2010, and he was a teacher. He was happy, made enough money to buy a place in my hand. And the most important thing, he was happy. So I thought, I want to be happy. Why not become a teacher?
How much did salary and money affect your decision to quit your comfortable finance job?
So full transparency, I was making $60,000. This was in 2009, 2010, which was comfortable, but I didn't feel like I was making so much money that would be such a big step back. And I was also still living home with my parents. So I didn't really have the overhead in terms of housing that made the decision a lot easier.
Okay. And how hard was that decision? Can you tell a little bit more about that mindset during the time you decided to quit your corporate job? And I would assume that you're taking a pay cut from that?
I would say the hardest part was probably how to explain to others, how to explain to my family, my friends, people that maybe looked up to me, my peers, that like, why would I give up a job, like a prestigious job, or so I thought, to become just a teacher? And I remember growing up, even though teaching is very respected, it's one of the lower paying jobs, and you don't really put teachers on a pedestal in terms of society. So for me, it's just about being able to sell that to people. But at the same time, I was comfortable with it. And that's all that really mattered in the time. And my parents are supportive, and the friends that loved me and really cared about my happiness were on board with it.
That's great. Yeah, I was going to ask, because it within Asian culture, right? Like our parents and like we went to a pretty well-known school, right? Binghamton University. And a lot of people who go there end up being in finance, accounting, right? And that's like one of the paths, right? You're either a doctor, lawyer, or you're in finance in the Asian culture. So my next question was going to be, how did your parents kind of react to that? And it sounds like they were super supportive. So
I would say yes. As first generation American, immigrant parents say, hey, be a doctor or a lawyer or be in finance. Absolutely. But I still live with my parents. So they saw how I was. They saw that, I kind of just sleepwalking through the job. I never really talked about work. They would, when I was a kid, hey, how was school? When I'm older, how was work? I never really wanted to talk about it. And I think they noticed it. If you're actually passionate about something and someone asks you, how was work? How was your day? You're not going to give them a one-word answer. You're going to go deep dive into the stories.
Right.
So when I became a teacher, I was like, I was work with this kid named Johnny. Johnny struggled a lot in math, but today he got 100. Just to see a smile on his face And for me to be able to call his parents and say, hey, Johnny's mom, like, guess what? He got 100 today. So that was much more impact than anything I ever did in 3 years at my corporate job.
Nice.
So on the hindsight, let's say if your parents was like, that disagrees, say, hey, I don't think it's a good route for you. They want you to do something else. What would you do if your parents disagree?
I would say I was raised in a way where as long as I was successful and I was happy, my parents supported it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if my parents say, hey, Raymond, I don't think you should become a teacher, I would basically have to sell them on why this is the right path for me.
Okay.
So I feel like if you exude the confidence and the passion and why you're doing it, the people that truly in your corner will understand.
So one of the things that inspired me about you was that as you were getting settled into your teaching position, you saw that there was a gap in the standard school curriculum and found that financial literacy was something that the youth could benefit from. So you were recently on Fox Business talking about a virtual stock market game that your students would participate in. Talk to us about, the thought process and how you created that class and taught students the basics about investing.
Yeah, I mean, when I first started, I was actually a math teacher. I taught core math. And in New York City, the top high schools are specialized high schools you have to take a test for. So I noticed the students in our school were not getting into those schools. And the reason they weren't getting is because you need to be at a high school level to get into those courses. I told my principal, hey, I want to teach an advanced math class. And she said, sure. So we started what's called Math Talent. And students get to pick a talent, dance, vocal, engineering, science, anything. For mine was math. And then a couple years after that, there's a program that called Virtual Enterprise. And my teacher said, hey, this is a program that teaches kids how to become entrepreneurs. You used to be in corporate. Why don't you teach it? I said no, because I was very comfortable with what I was doing, but it ended up being the best decision because that gave me the opportunity to teach whatever I wanted to, right? So like you said, I would teach them about the stock market.
Right.
Starting in 6th grade. It may go over a lot of their heads. What's a stock? But I try to simplify. Hey, who here has Apple products? Do you have an iPad? Do you have an iPhone? Do you have a MacBook? You could buy that stock and it could go up. You can make money. Kids will always ask me, wait, we're making real money? I was like, no, not real money. But these lessons will be able to teach you how to make real money and, talk to your parents about it. If they're not investing right now, you can help them invest. They can open up a custodial account for you to be able to invest as well. So this has been great because it gives them real life experience.
Right.
And kids always ask, when do I need this in real life?
Right.
So when they ask me, when do I need to know the quadratic equation in real life? I say, when you take a test, and that's it. When I need to know how to trade stocks in real life, your whole life. It's all around us.
I always thought teacher had all these free time, right? Teacher probably work half a year. And I was wondering what teacher do with their free time, doing after school and summertime. And I heard you have your own private business and you actually tutor your students throughout after school and summertime. Can you tell us a little bit more about being an entrepreneur, right? Because our podcast is all about entrepreneur, business owner. What is the difference between being an entrepreneur and a W-2 employee? And how have you, since you're doing both jobs at the same time, what was the most important thing that you could tell our audience?
So I'll first say the reason why I started tutoring because I knew I needed to make up the gap in salary from being a corporate job versus teacher. So I was tutoring privately. I was going from house to house. And I did that I still do it now, much smaller capacity. But I would say I got out at 2:10 almost every single day. Like you said, we work half the year. We have our summers off. So for me, if I was not using that time wisely, I felt that I was losing money. So I wanted to be able to tutor and just work on that active income. And as an entrepreneur, you do have the freedom to be able to work your schedule. But at the same time, every single time someone canceled on me or it didn't work, I felt like I was losing money. So I had freedom to do it, but I felt like I had to do it. And one thing that really hit me was when I realized I had to turn my active income into passive income. And that's when I went full steam on stocks and real estate, because the wealthiest people in the world invest in stocks and real estate.
And as your tutoring business took off, you started having more capital to invest. So you just led me right into my next question. But I know you're involved with the stock market and in the past few years started your journey in real estate investments. Talk us through the beginning stages of joining Zen Coast and eventually becoming a real estate coach.
So 2014, I bought my first property, my primary home. 2021, I purchased a condo to upgrade and rented out my first apartment. And I was scared to rent it out because I was like, what if I get a call at 3 a.m. and my toilet's clogged?
Right.
What if someone calls, hey, the roof's leaking? I'm the least handiest person. So for me, that allowed me to kind of like see what it is to be a landlord. And then I decided to go all in real estate because the wealthiest people do it. Now, in real estate, there's 3 things that you need: capital, time, and knowledge. So I had capital, had time, but I didn't have the knowledge. So I went to seek a coaching mentorship program. That's how I found Zen Coast University. And the first year I did 4 deals. I did 4 bird deals in Philly. And at the end of it, they asked me if I want to be a coach. And at the time, I already launched my own personal brand where I provide wealth coaching. So there was a lot of synergy in there. But the biggest thing for me was to have an additional platform to be able to mentor and coach people in a different capacity, focus on real estate, but also using my financial background, how I build wealth in other asset classes as well. And most importantly, the mindset that it takes to become an investor. So it just seemed like a very easy decision for me.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of synergy in it, right? Because you're naturally a teacher, you're naturally, you have that skill set, and then combining it with the mindset of your, investing in real estate and stock market with the passive income, goal that you personally had, it makes perfect sense, right? Because you're able to kind of vertically integrate both of teaching and investing into another pathway for yourself. So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
What are the core principles when you're teaching real estate investing, and what are the difference till now? Now we have all these, technology and AI difference. Can you share a little bit on that?
I would say by far the most important thing is the mindset. All these tools, these strategies, you can read books. There's a lot of information out there, but there's a reason everyone doesn't do it, because maybe they don't understand why they're doing it. Maybe they don't understand how to do it. At the same time, having a community around you, having coaches and mentors that understand what you're going through. Like, hey, listen, I was there in that situation a couple years ago. I understand what you're going through. Did you think about this? Think back, what is your goal in doing this? What type of impact do you want to make? Do you want to work your W-2 job forever? If you don't, then these are certain asset classes for you to look into. At the same time, I would say being able to bounce back from setbacks, right? I don't believe in failures. I believe in opportunities. Every single thing you fail in, figure out why you failed, figure out how to moving forward, what not to do, and more importantly, figure out how I can prevent the people around me from making that same mistake. So having that mindset really was the most important thing. And I'll be honest, when I was being coached, I was told by my coach, Calvin said, hey, Ray, let's talk about mindset. I was like, no. Let's go numbers. Let's go, how do I buy this? Let's talk. I don't want all that mindset BS. And then towards the end of my 1 year, I was like, let's talk about mindset. He just died laughing.
Right.
He's like, I told you. And I was like, you can only go so far, but just being strong and here is by far the most important thing that any coach or mentor can give you.
Yeah. I think that's a great insight to have a mentor or a teacher at the beginning of every business, right? For me, when I started real estate, I don't know, I want to teach me. Everything was like, you go, you learn, but you learn the hard way, right? But if you have a mentor or a teacher at the beginning, hey, this is the correct way. You follow through, you'll learn. It will be huge different. And there are so many classes out there, or so many teacher out there or mentor. I mean, if anyone's looking to get any kind of business, any kind of business, right? Anything, you could find a mentor that's been there, done it for a while, get into it. I think that's the best choice you could do for anybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, they say you're the average of 5 people to spend most of your time with, and you can either be the person that goes finds that crowd, or have certain aura around you where people find you. So for me, I always look around for talent, per se, right? People that have the drive that maybe just fail in the execution. So if I were to meet someone, especially someone young in the fraternity, where I see that they have passion, but they're not able to execute, I'll take them under my wing, right? Because I've been there. I know what that feels like.
Yeah.
So I want to put them in different circles to surround them, to make them have the more opportunities to become successful. So it's a great point that you made.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Now, I think the world has changed too. Like, I don't know, maybe 10, 20 years ago, everyone is like, if you have a set of skill, everyone kept that skill. They don't want to teach people. It's, hey, it's me. I don't want to teach you. You might become my competitor, right? But now, I don't know, maybe because of COVID, or I don't know, things has changed now.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, hey, let's all work together. Let's have the all correct mindset and have the same goal, making money, whatever the case would be. It's all different now.
Yeah, I also think it's like technology, right? Like with social media and everything, information has become almost free flowing, and the issue is that a lot of people now, 20, 30 years ago, everybody's attention would be on the TV or radio, or you'd actually have to attend certain courses. Now a lot of the education is on social media.
Mm-hmm.
The only issue is that because there's so much information, it's hard to filter through, right? And so I think more than ever, coaching like what you do, in person or on Zoom, at least having a human interaction. And I believe this is going to accelerate even more in the future, right? As we have more AI, robotics, things of that nature, the human connection makes a huge thing, because the word that comes to my mind is accountability, right? So like when you're coaching and you have a relationship and you're teaching certain things, well, how are those actually applied? And how do you keep, your students or your peers or your partners and your investments accountable for what they need to do? And I think that's a huge part, because we as humans in this era are so overloaded by so many thoughts, so much information, that it's hard for you to kind of execute. It's even harder in that sense.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad you mentioned that. You talked about how there's so much information out there.
Yeah.
That's literally the reason why I started creating content, because there was information out there that I felt was not all, well, I don't agree with all of it, right? And I've had so many parents talk to me and say, I can't believe you teach this topic. I can't believe you teach these subjects. Like, can I sit in your classroom? And I thought, why would I limit whatever we do in the classroom? So I started putting on content. And as you know, it's not comfortable.
Yes.
It's difficult,
Absolutely.
right? You're putting yourself, people can make fun of you, whatever it is, right? But I always believe in getting comfortable, being uncomfortable. That's where growth happens. So being able to, if I can impact one extra life by putting out X amount of videos, I'm good with that, right? But you hope that that impact can go on to someone else, and that person can give that impact to someone else as well. And just exponential, right? Just seeing it just kind of break out like that. And that's the impact that we all, want to be able to make, especially as an educator myself.
Yeah, and I think that multiplies as well. It's just not just one. They say you impact one person, that goes, 2, 4, 8, 16 goes on. It's it's a great mindset.
As constant legislation and economic landscapes have changed in the past 9 months, right? How has your personal investment strategies changed to adapt to your goals? What is your primary focus in terms of real estate strategies that you foresee to be the most fitting for your risk parameters?
I don't really follow all the legislation stuff.
Okay.
And the reason why is because I don't stress about anything I cannot control. People talk about the interest rates. People talk about the rules changing. Specifically with interest rates, if I buy a deal and it works today, it'll be even better when rates go down. Right? So I don't worry about interest rates at all. In terms of the certain rules, I mean, obviously 100% bonus depreciation is huge. right? It's huge for business owners.
Yeah.
And what I would say, I would lean into that. The people that I work with say, hey, you understand that the codes are written to benefit business owners, not W-2 employees. This is an even bigger reason for you to dive more into real estate. People say the economy, oh, the job market doesn't look good, right? I'm worried about my job. That's an even bigger reason for you to get into real estate so you can replace your income and not have to be worried that someone lays you off. I literally spoke to someone a month ago who I was trying to get to join the community. And they said, yeah, I'm worried about my job. And I said, well, how would you feel if you built up that income to replace your W-2 job through real estate, and then your employer says, we have to lay you off? You would say, thank you. What's my severance? Because you already have things set up where you don't need this job. Right? So we can talk about the economy, all these rules, and I don't get into the politics of it because I can't really control it. So I just try to work around it and find ways to have it benefit us and the people we work with.
I want to touch on the politics a little bit because, like, me and my friends, like, sometimes we've seen politics and people gets angry, and we're like, same thing, like, can we control it? We can. Doesn't matter which party you like, you can't control it. So don't let the emotion involve what you look at the show. The same as in interest rate or invest stuff like that. If you can't, unless you are in the politics, you have some way to affect politics. Otherwise, we just look at it as is. Don't get affected. You're emotional, or don't get affected at all.
Yeah, I guess my question was like kind of geared towards the legislation, and you brought it up, like the bill, right, with accelerated front loading depreciation, like those type of things, right? But I definitely agree with you in the sense that headline news, political stuff, like, we as humans, we really can't control those things. But as real estate people investing, sales, and everything that we do, it does affect the way that we kind of pivot for our strategies. But you've answered it perfectly in the sense that you said, hey, you're looking at this from an opportunity standpoint. You're trying to show people, not just your students, but just, anybody that you're interacting and anybody who's willing to listen, that it's not just about, hey, trading time for your money, but there are different avenues that allow you to earn a passive income that might replace the active income. And I think that's great, like that you're doing that, because it's one of your, major missions. And, it's also part of why Andy and I do this podcast, right? We're trying to highlight different, different people in the industry that have different mindsets and insights on how to create that wealth through real estate.
I want to touch a little bit about technology. Right now, I think it's a race for AI, right? It's such advancing at a fast pace. For example, history class will probably not be important anymore, right? And what would you think an investment to college, right? We pay a tuition, we spend our time. I would think college is an investment as well, right? And can you touch a little bit on that?
So for AI, I mean, it's happening. So if you're not using it, you're falling behind.
Yep.
And one thing I want to touch upon is AI isn't just asking ChatGPT and using it as Google. It's being able to train the AI to be able to do things for you to make it more efficient, right? So a lot of people use it just like a Google search engine. For me, I'll use it to create templates for me. They could do graphic design. They could do a lot of different things, right? So I would say use AI, but really learn how to integrate it in the most efficient way. There are people out there, the industry leaders, that you can pay to help you scale your business using AI. So I would encourage anyone that is looking to use it, it's worth it to invest into someone that will be able to scale your business much more than whatever they're charging. So I want to talk about the growth mindset, touch upon that. Is college a good investment? I think that's, believe, what you asked. I would say I grew up thinking that the people that dropped out of school were losers and they would never be successful. As I got older, I realized that a lot of people that I was around that dropped out of school and started their own business, became very, very successful. Now, that's not everybody. But as a teacher, I don't tell my kids don't go to college, but I do tell them that there are alternatives to what path you take. And that's completely up to you. But your parents will push you to get those degrees because that is the safest alternative,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I would say safe is not always the best way.
Mm.
And I always say, hey, don't say Mr. Tran told you not to go to college. No, I'm just saying that a lot of business owners have learning disabilities. A lot of business owners don't have the degrees, but they're so much more successful. That's why I always bring on guests like you guys to come into my school, say, hey, can you share your story, your upbringing, how you got to your career, all the setbacks, all the things that didn't go right, and give some advice to my students. What would you tell them? What do you wish someone told you when you were 13 years old?
Yeah.
And when they get different insight from people that went to college, didn't go to college, people that work W-2 jobs, or people are business owners, that gives them more ammo to figure out, okay, which works for me. So I would say college is great. It's not for everybody. But as a parent, I may push for my son to go to college because at least he'll have that degree to fall back on.
Right.
But I don't know. I mean, he's barely 2 years old.
Right.
So I'll get to see as he grows, like what will be the best career path. But the most important thing is you got to let them decide, right?
Yep.
Because if they don't want to do it, they're not going to go all in on it.
Right.
And my example is for me, I went to college. I wanted to major in finance, but I wasn't really into it. It was just, I want to get a high paying job. When I went to grad school and I decided I'm going to become a teacher, those were the best classes I took because that's what I wanted to do. So anyone wants to go to college, great. But if you don't want to go to college, maybe that's not the right path for you to take.
Yeah. I mean, just to follow up on that, what do you think? Like, we went to college together, right? What do you think was your biggest takeaway from Binghamton University?
Nu Alpha Phi, the fraternity.
Yeah. And I say this all the time, right? I've said it on multiple episodes, and I agree, right? Like, I think being a part of the fraternity at a young age allowed us to kind of, or at least for me, allowed me to get a glimpse of what running an organization and being an entrepreneur would look like, right? Because, like, you remember this, right? Circa 2005, I recruited you, and as you were still pledging, I brought you to all the club owner meetings, right? We would negotiate profit cuts with the venues that we would throw parties at, and we would raise money for charities. We would do community service, and all those things really are the makeup of a business, right? So outside of accounting 101, I would agree with you. That would be my takeaway from college, was being a part of. It just doesn't have to necessarily be a fraternity or a sorority, but just a social group that, allows you to be in a position to contribute to that, the mission and the goal of that organization.
I want to thank you. You changed my life. 100%. When I was in college, I didn't go to a lot of classes. I didn't have the best grades. But when you recruited me to join the fraternity, I was like, all right, there's a reason this guy's spending the time, a lot of time, on me to join. And I took it as a challenge, right? As he said, when I was a pledge, he was still training me to become a brother, to run the organization.
Yep.
And people focus on, all right, being good in that moment.
Mm.
But the bigger picture is to be able to grow the organization. And I took that to heart. And because once I joined the fraternity and you took me aside and introduced me to literally everybody, business owners, club owners, different organizations, I did that for other people as well. So you gave me the roadmap to how to be successful as a leader and how to lead other people to lead as well. And the relationships that I built in college the network that I built still helps me today, right? And if I never met you and you never decided to pick me for whatever reason to push forward after that you left college, my life would be completely different. I would never have got that corporate job at Ernst & Young without the fraternity, right? And for me, just being able to give that back to other people that looking for someone to lead them is that I'm always constantly trying to do. So I just want to thank Adam, right? You literally changed my life in so many different ways, and I'm grateful.
Thank you, man. I'm very grateful for you.
So is that a tear? Is that a tear?
I was getting there, brother. Thank you, man.
So me and Adam, we talk all the time. It's all about networking and building that relationship, right? And we talk about me as a hindsight, even me from my perspective. It's only my opinion. If I could do this again, right, I'll probably skip college. I never finished college. I would skip high school as well, and I will try to find not my passion. I would say gift, right? Everyone has at least one gift, right? Turn your gift into passion, okay? And let's say if I was interested in construction, right? When in high school, I'll probably start working as an intern with just in a construction company and building a relationship with all the contractors, right? And when I become 18, I'll start working versus I go 4 year in high school, another 4 year in college. And that will prepare me more for the real world. And imagine I would have 8 years in my pocket doing construction, I was like 14 to 18, and come out of real world when I was like maybe 20 already. Already have 8 years down in my experience in construction. And I built that networking with all the contractors and, GC workers. Then I start building my own business, start early in 20 versus I got to go to college and learn the things may or may not be work for me in the real world, right? So building connection or having that relationship is very important early. And all the podcasts, all the guests we had is all from relationship from before, from college, and mostly from fraternity, right? You guys have that relationship. So I don't know. I just want to touch on that. If I could do this again, maybe I would. It's my opinion, me only. I'm not telling people don't go to school. Go to school, but if I could do this again in the real world, probably a little different.
I'll say two things from what you said. You said that you wish that you maybe went down that path, right?
On the hindsight.
In hindsight.
Yeah.
Now, if you can identify someone that was in your shoes right now at that age, share that with them. Share what you've learned. And hey, if I wish I was in those shoes, and maybe getting involved in more youth initiatives where you can identify, right? I mean, ProLinks can sponsor certain things, right? Like youth people, hey, you want to get in real estate, hold a workshop, right? With people, high school kids. And if you can identify someone in there that has a drive, take them under your wing. Because they may want to get to where you are, but you're like, hey, I can help you, mentor you, get there faster. So that's a way for you to impact other people. And the second thing I want to try is the networking piece. People always talk about networking is key, 100%. But there are different types of relationships you can build. Right? When you network and say, hey, how you doing? My name is Ray. I'm a blah, blah, blah. Maybe pass a business card, maybe get their contact. That could be it. I always tell people that if I don't remember our conversation, it's as if we didn't talk. So always be memorable, right? Follow up with them. Have a genuine conversation with them. One of the things that we say on an everyday basis to anyone that walks by is, hey, how are you? We say that so often that we respond and say, I'm okay, I'm good, how are you? Just normal, right? Yeah. But I would challenge you to stop and go, no, like how are you really? An example that I share is that years ago, when I was a younger teacher, I remember how it was being a younger teacher, all the stuff that you have to deal with. So I stopped someone in the hallway and asked, how are you? And she said, oh, I'm good. I was like, no, how are you really? And she started crying.
Yeah.
And I was like grip, like, we've never had a real, me and her never had a real conversation. Friendly, we smiled at each other. Hey, how are you doing? And then we went to class and she just started crying. She was saying how it's her first year teaching. It's a lot. Her husband's in the military. It's not really home much. She has a lot on her plate. And that made me realize how important the question, how are you, really is. Right. So I would challenge anyone to talks about networking, like have real conversations, have personal conversations. Right. If you had a real deep conversation with me, the first encounter, and I like you and I open up to you, I'm far more likely to work with you in any sort of deal or refer you to somebody else. Right. So people talk about networking. Hey, go to this event. We just talked about, having an event to go to, a dinner.
Yep.
It's not so great.
Yeah.
Right. I would say, sure, you could feel that way, but maybe the next event that you're not looking forward to, just like, all right, I'm going to connect with 2 people on a real level and really ask them. They may not open up, but if they do, and you open up together, that's a relationship that you can really take further, would have much more benefits to you in the future.
For sure.
I want to touch on that a little bit. There's no shame asking for help, right? Even just like, hey, Ray, you got 5 minutes? Can we talk? Right? And say, hey, Ray, I got this deal. Can you look through for me? But you got to be okay taking rejection at the same time, right? We would say, hey, sorry, it's not for me. I don't have time. You can be like, hey, I asked you for help, but you say no, and then you feel offended. No, that's not okay. But don't be ashamed for asking for help. Okay, it could be anything. It could be like, hey, I'm stressful. I want someone just to talk to for 5-10 minutes, right? Or just ask an opinion about anything. But again, you gotta be okay taking rejection. They don't have to help you. No one has to help you unless they're your parents. Otherwise, I don't know. I just want to really share on that. That's pretty good stuff.
So now that our viewers have a better understanding of how you got to where you are today, the next segment of questions will be off the cuff. These are questions designed to give everybody a glimpse into your mindset. So here's the first question. If you can pinpoint one skill that has been crucial to your success in your career so far, what would it be? And how would you teach that to a student today?
Storytelling. I've told my story a lot. And I went to a conference last summer where Bachelor Wynn spoke. And he shared a story about his parents and what they went through. And this guy cried on stage. And it hit. I was like, that was powerful. So when that happened, I said, I don't take the opportunity to tell my story fully because I've done it so many times. Batch has done it probably tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of times. If he could do that, I could do the same thing. So being able to tell a story, even if you're doing it multiple times, even if that person is hearing it multiple times, taking that opportunity and really making sure you're passionate and shown in everything you do is really important.
I want to ask a question that might be controversial that I saw on the TED Talk and I saw it on the TikTok, right? They say school kills creativity. Like, for example, if, like I said earlier, everyone born with a gift, at least one, maybe have multiple gifts. They say this guy, this person, he might be a math prodigy, right? This person, when he was young, he going to a history class. The teacher would be like, hey, don't do math. This is history class. You're supposed to study history, not math, right? He's running numbers, doing math. But only you, because you're a math teacher, you will know, oh, this guy, this young kid, it might be a math prodigy. But in the school teacher, oh no, this is health class. You're not supposed to do math. So I don't know. It might be controversial, but I want your take on that.
So you're asking if you said school takes away creativity.
Kills creativity.
Kills creativity.
Yeah.
It's possible. It depends on their environment. Depends on the teachers. I would say the way I teach, I encourage creativity. And most of what we do is assign them projects, give them some instructions, and say, go do it. And when a kid asks me for help, I will say, Google it, YouTube it. You're on a computer, you have everything accessible to you. Google is smarter than me. YouTube is smarter than me. Go dive into your resources. And some kids may not like that because they, hell, you're the teacher, you're supposed to tell us what to do.
Yeah.
I would say, no, I'm not supposed to tell you what to do. I can give you an assignment and I want you to be creative to being able to figure that out.
Mm.
And that's problem solving, right? I guess one of the issues with school is that it's so structured and you have to do this to get your grades and all that stuff. But the reality is in the real world, it's not like that.
Yep.
You have to figure things out on your own. So for me personally as a teacher, I have them for 3 years, 6th, 7th, 8th grade. And by 8th grade, they're going to start their own virtual business. So I am really mean in the beginning because I want them to stop asking me questions and I want them to figure it out. By 8th grade, they're flourishing on their own. So I would say it really depends on, what type of school, what type of teachers. Like for me, I have flexibility of what I can teach and I'm grateful for that, which is why I still teach because I have the opportunity, the flexibility to teach whatever I want and how I want it for the most part. And I don't think every teacher has that. So I wouldn't say it's the teacher's fault or the school's fault. I think it's really dependent. But at the same time, on any platform, if we give people more freedom, you'd be amazed and surprised at what they do with it.
Do you also teach the basic how to file taxes, like 1099 W-2?
I do not. I'm not a certified.
Yeah, but at least a little concept. Because the reason I'm saying is that I still remember today, when I was 20 something, I got my first check with 1099. It was a kind of big check. And then the employer said, hey, just give it to your CPA. And I gave it to my CPA. And she was like, okay, you're going to pay about 30%. What was that? 30%? It must be crazy. 30%, it's a lot. And she was like, oh, do you have any expenses? And I was like, what do you mean by expenses? Right? And she was like, okay, do you want to get some IRA or Roth IRA? The best way I could describe is like the movie scene, right? And you in the shop and you stand still and things are moving from your back. And she's like, she started talking about IRA and everything just stopped. When she finished, she's like, oh, do you understand? Basically, I don't. I was like, yes. Then I opened an IRA and later I thought taking it out and lost more money. So I think just the basic tax, right? 1099 versus W-2. What do you have to do? What's the expenses? I mean, in high school, well, maybe in college, I'm not sure about college, but in high school, if there's a class for just the basic, I know you have to be a tax professional to teach that, but just give it a little basic, that will help me tremendously. Until today, it's a shock to me. When that's why I still remember it.
We definitely talk about paychecks. And I say, all right, if you make $15 an hour, you work 10 hours, how much you get? Say $150. I was like, you actually don't. Why don't you get the full amount? And certain classes will say taxes. What are taxes? Do we have to pay them? Why do we have to pay them? And that's actually one of the reasons why I teach them about entrepreneurship, because I tell them straight up that the tax codes are written out to benefit business owners because you have expenses. And I say, hey, I post content on social media and I have expenses because of that.
Right.
The cameras you use, the places you do it in, the wardrobe you wear, all these things are things you could deduct. If you work for somebody, that there's nothing to deduct. So we do talk about that. We do talk about how the wealthy build their wealth. And we read Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. And he does talk about that as well. So yes, I'm not a CPA, but these are all things that involve, because it's not about how much money you make. It's about how much money you could keep.
Absolutely.
So let's say business is similar to sports, high performance, mindset, ethics, work, to power the business owner. What's your favorite athlete and characteristic about them do you draw inspiration from?
Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant, my all-time favorite player. And I would say he was a very polarizing figure when he was alive. You either loved him or you hated him. And for me, I just loved his tenacity, his determination to get the job done.
Right. The Mamba
win.
mentality.
Mamba mentality. It didn't matter. He was going to do it. I mean, there are stories where LeBron James says, I think it's Carmelo Anthony say, let's go practice at 8 a.m. And then, no. Carmelo's like, nah, there's no way I'm going to do 8 a.m. You guys are good. So LeBron goes there for 8 a.m. practice. And then he gets there at 8 a.m. and Kobe is drenched in sweat, already done. So I would say what I learned from Kobe is that you can't let your work ethic be the reason that you don't succeed. You can always decide how hard you work. And I think a lot of people realize that after his death, right? It's unfortunate. I mean, I literally had people calling me like, am I okay on that day? I think Adam called me too, like, are you okay? Like, it's the person I never met in my life. And I love sports, and athletes are a great motivation for certain people, right? As long as you can relate it to them. Yeah, Kobe Bryant's by far my biggest sports idol of all time.
I saw that interview about Kobe Bryant. The second part is he actually go practice twice a day, right? The morning time, and after he take rest, then he go by in the afternoon work out again. Yeah. So it's
he said no one will work harder than him.
No.
And if someone works harder than him, he's gonna make sure he works even harder.
Yeah. So you and I would often have conversations about things we were once insecure about. Things that we once thought were super important to us, but as we matured, we realized those inner feelings no longer serve us, right? So what was your biggest insecurity that you felt helped drive you in your younger years and now no longer serves you?
Before I answer the question, I'm going to share one thing about Adam. He already knows.
I know this one. I know it's
so
coming.
Back then, Adam used to say that his birthday party was the ultimate friend test. And if they did not show up, that told him something about it. And, we joke about now how stupid that was.
Yes.
But I would look at it the other way, where I wouldn't use it to test like whether they're real friends. I would say the ones that show up based on their circumstances, it meant even more. So I wouldn't put down anyone that didn't show up, but I would say if someone were to go through, like especially when we're older with kids and families, to really be there no matter what, that meant a lot to me. And I know Adam gets a little embarrassed when I share this, which is why I love to share even more. I would say, I'm still working on this. I would say caring about what people think. And as much as I'd say that I don't care, I do care. And I tell myself that I ask for feedback because I want to know what I can do better in. But in the back of my mind, I do want to be acknowledged for what I've done, what I've accomplished. So still work in progress. I think I've made strides in that aspect. At the same time, one of my mentors told me if I ever get to a level where I don't care what people say and don't care what people think, I'll have the freedom to just say and do whatever I want. I'm not there yet, but that's something that I'm constantly striving to get to.
I'm a little confused with what you said. Say your mentor tells you that once you reach that point that you don't care, then you probably made it.
I would say if you're constantly trying to satisfy everyone out there, you're going to realize it's impossible. People will take things a certain way. And I'm always looking for that approval. That'll hold me back. Once I stop caring about what people say, what people think, then I will, in myself, like I'll know that I did the best I could. I got the messages I wanted to get across as well as I could. And my time and impact was felt. And once I get to that place, it won't matter what other people think because I know that the impact was made. And once I get there, I won't spend time worrying about what people think. Instead, I'll spend that time to figure out how to make more impact, how to spend my time doing things like that because I know that's hitting certain people.
Yeah. And to kind of reciprocate on that, I think from the other angle of insecurity is that a lot of the times, we find people will project their feelings onto you as a reaction to what you're saying or what you're presenting, right? And that has nothing to do with you. Has nothing to do with you, and it's something that is not anything that we can actually control ourselves, right? It's their own experiences, past pain, kind of all combined in a sense that they will formulate an opinion about you. But their opinion actually, I'm not saying doesn't matter. It has no correlation to your own performance, your own goals, or anything like that, right? And so my statement to kind of tie that all in together is not necessarily where you reach a point where you don't care about any thoughts about another person, but understanding and having the empathy to realize that these are somebody's own feelings and thoughts, and respectfully so, because you don't know what's going on behind the scenes with them, right? And so for you just hope that you're making that impact and you're delivering what you can the best that you can without ever kind of agonizing and analyzing why aren't I getting more views? Why am I not, getting more production or sales, whatever the case may be, right? So that's what I would add to that.
What is the one thing that you always wanted it, but too afraid to try?
Committing to playing golf.
Wow. I did not expect that. I thought you were going to say, like, I'm going to jump out of a plane or something.
No, I mean...
Okay, why? Why are you afraid of that? You have all the resources, and I would love to play golf.
I have not committed to playing golf because I know I'll be obsessed and I'll love it.
Okay, that's the same answer
yeah.
that you just said
I want
to me.
to get into it.
I don't know if that's a real answer, guys.
No,
It is.
I mean, I know I'll love it. I know that my wife's going to make me happy that I'm spending 4 or 5 hours on a golf course and I'm not home. And I know the opportunities and the experience I'll get from it.
Okay.
You talked about how many people talk about golfers. I say, hey, you learn so much about that person that played one round of golf.
Yeah.
You learn about how they handle adversity. You learn about how do they cheat or not?
Right.
Do they care about winning? Well, so much goes into it. I mean, you're spending hours there.
Yeah.
And it's not that I'm afraid of that. I just know I love it. So I didn't make a commitment to certain friends, and I'll commit to you today that I will commit to really starting playing golf by next summer. I do have a torn labrum, so I'm gonna have surgery later on this year. And yeah, I mean, you hold me to it. You guys hear it, and I'll be playing some rounds with you next summer.
If you can instill one characteristic into your son Cameron, what would it be and why?
Empathy. That's the first thing I thought about because I think I lack empathy. I think that I've been very cutthroat and only care about results, and that's held me back in certain aspects of life. And my wife has a lot of empathy. So I would love for him to get much more of that than me. I think having empathy means that you feel people more. You put yourselves in their shoes. And being able to do that will allow that person to relate to you and for you to relate to them. And that's something that I'm still struggling to fully get. I mean, I've gotten to a certain point. I've been told, hey, you gotta, if you don't feel empathy, you gotta become a better actor and act like you have empathy. Literally been told by someone, you just gotta be a better actor.
I don't disagree with that because I think empathy is something, and I can't explain it, right? So I definitely have an immense amount of empathy. So as a kid, I was always labeled as the sensitive kid. So and my daughter who's turning 9, she has an immense amount of empathy. And I think that's just kind of something that I don't know if you're born with, right? Like, that's a great thing to say, because like Gary Vee says, he doesn't know how to teach empathy, because empathy to me as an adult is a superpower, because I can listen, I can understand, and I can almost feel more intensely. But as a kid, and especially as a male, it's hard, because a lot of, the alpha males will come about like, why are you so sensitive? Why, like, what, blah, blah, blah. But I realized, it's actually a strength, because it allows you to make those deeper connections with people, right? Like, our relationship for so long, was a little lopsided in the beginning, where you would come to me, you would ask a lot of advice, and I would tell you, and I would listen thoroughly, and I would kind of pinpoint like how you were feeling, and that, not telling you what you should feel, but like maybe understand, hey, I can understand your pain or your excitement or whatever it is, right? And then we would kind of tone that down and have a tactical strategy for what you were about to do next, right? When you came for advice. So I agree that empathy is a really strong characteristic. I just, again, I don't know how to teach it. And I think you're right. Like, maybe acting, or at least doing, putting yourself in the position where you're kind of reframing, like, hey, okay, let me listen more, and let me see if I can extract what this person might be feeling.
It's interesting how when we were younger, maybe some of our weaknesses that people make fun of can be strengths when you're older.
Yeah.
Right. So when I have students that get made fun of for certain things, I tell them, hey, listen, this is going to help you when you're older. It's going to help you in your career. Don't shy away from it. A lot of time kids make fun of kids because they're insecure about certain things.
Yeah.
Right. And also, you don't know what's going on in their household. Maybe something's bothering them at home, makes them feel better, make fun of you. And I'm not saying it's right, but have some empathy, even though they're bullying you. Right?
Yeah.
You never know what they're going through. And, don't lose these aspects of you because it's not serving you today. It's something that's instilled in you, and it could very well serve you in the future.
Since we're talking about emotions, I always want to ask this question. Like, the teenage now versus when I was a teenager, right? Things happen to me and my friends. I always get hey, tough it out. So what? Even the unfair stuff happened to me or to my friends, right? And parents be like, hey, just tough it out. But today, I see the kids are more sensitive. And do you feel that way, and why?
A lot of people say that. I wouldn't necessarily say they're more sensitive. I think that's, as a society, we kind of resort to that word when you say, hey, I grew up a certain way. I wasn't like that. So because these kids aren't like what I was, they're too sensitive, they're too soft. And while I personally said that, and while I agree to a certain aspect, I would say that things change, right? If we were that age now, we may do that and think it's fine, right? But since we're older, we think we've gone through things, we know better. I would say I don't know any better than that kid that's acting that way, right? There's reasons behind it. And I would say one of the things that I really applaud society is how we really, really care more about mental health now, right? Back then, you're a therapist, you're a little weenie. Why need a therapist?
Yeah.
Right? But now,
100%.
like, I have a couples therapist. We see, my wife and I see her every single week. And I'm not going to lie, some of the sessions are really emotional, really, really rough. But there's no way that we would have heard each other the same way without the therapist. There's no way that we would communicate the way we do. There's no way we would uncover certain things without that. So I would say, instead of saying that kids are soft, kids are sensitive, maybe ask, hey, why do you feel that way? Like, why are you reacting that way? Why are you saying no? Why are you unwilling? Maybe there's a reason behind it. It goes back to the question, like, how are you?
Right.
Really say, okay, you're acting that way. I understand. Can you share why those feelings are coming up? You share why you're doing those actions. If you were to dive deeper into that, instead, you'll stop saying they're soft, they're sensitive. You'll really understand why they're reacting that way, right? Because there's reasons why we react to certain situations.
Yeah.
So that's just an opportunity to ask and dig deeper.
Even though I think, also the kids don't want to ask for help, right? Again, there's no shame asking for help for anything, Go ask your teacher, ask for help. If you found the future 13 years from now to the present day, and you would give us out advices, what would it be?
So if at 55 years old, what would I wish I told myself at 40?
Yeah.
I would say play golf sooner.
Okay.
Okay.
I would say prioritize your body and your health more. I am 40 years old. I have a son that's almost 2. And if I don't take care of myself today, I won't get to 15 years later. And many people are so focused on their goals. They have to work X amount of hours, make X amount of money. They just forget about themselves, right? And I just got this Whoop band, and it's really, really made me accountable to make sure I get my sleep, my recovery, my workouts in. I have a Whoop age. I'm trying to get that as low as possible.
What's your Whoop age right now?
39.3.
So it's right on point.
No, I'm 40. I'm over 40. It's like a year.
So
a year
you're
behind.
saying you're 0.7, 0.7.
0.8.
Okay.
What is that? So I don't
Oh,
understand.
Whoop is the band that you see that he's wearing on the right, and this is an advertisement at this point. But it's kind of like the Apple Watch, but they compete, right? And it tracks your sleeping, it tracks a lot of your health metrics, and then based on that algorithm, it gives you like an age.
It tells you if you're aging
If you're
too
aging.
fast or you're aging slow, right?
Okay.
So you want to be at a lower Whoop age than you are, because that means that, your workouts are good. And so I'll share one of my friends, we're both 40. He didn't turn 40 yet. His Whoop age is 35. And my sleep score is much better than his, but he just works out like an animal, right? So you can achieve a lower Whoop age by getting your full recovery, your full sleep, and or just working out and having your heart, working on your heart better. And it just makes you so much more aware, right? And I touch upon the Whoop not to advertise, but to say that, this helps me keep myself accountable. Because it'll tell me, hey, your recovery score is low. You need more rest. It'll tell me when I should sleep. Right. So I'll wind down earlier, because if I don't wind down early, I don't get enough sleep. I'm going to wake up, say I'm in the red. Right. So that's part of me taking care of myself. That's part of me being present for longer, and to give my son the father that he wants and needs.
Since you're talking about the Whoop page,
Whoop. Whoop.
Okay. Okay. Whoop page. It tells you when to sleep, when to exercise, when to rest, right? Adam and I, we have this conversation like, hey, when we're young, for example, we remember everything, right? We say, hey, let's get to Ray's house. Oh, how do you get there? Okay, you take this highway, you make this turn, you get to his house. Oh, what's Ray's number? Oh, this is what's Andy's number. We remember everything. But now we have all these technology, right? Say, hey, we'll go somewhere, we'll put in the GPS, somebody's phone number, we just put in the phone, it comes right. So also by education as well, since you're a teacher, right? So kids may be like, hey, what's this question? You use ChatGPT or AI, what the case will be, to have their answer right away. And that will huge impact on our brain function or memory. I don't know. We just want to touch about that, and what would you take on that? Like, we're using technology, we don't remember anymore. We like everything on AI or phones, stuff like that.
I believe technology is great, right? And you should leverage it. You should use all your resources, but at the same time, what's important to you, you have to make sure you can do it on your own. So, terrible directions. I just put it in GPS, I just follow it, right? Now, would it be better if I knew where I was going? Sure. But at the same time, I would much rather use my brain capacity on other things. That's just me personally, right? I don't have a great answer for it because, like I said, if you're not using the technology, you're falling behind. And I never want to fall behind. But at the same time, just figure out what's important to you. If using technology will make you more efficient, give you more time, use it. If using AI will make your business more lean, make you scale faster, use it. If it doesn't, then you don't have to use it.
Ray, thank you for sharing your journey and insights today. Your continued movement in impacting our youth and educating people in financial literacy is inspiring, and we wish you nothing but continued success. But before we go, we have one last question. If you could leave one message to the world, what would it be?
I would say to have empathy. That's something that I struggle with. That's something that certain people at certain ages have that gift, but they shy away from it. To really being able to put yourself in people's shoes and feel what they feel will give you all the information you need to make an impact in their life. So empathy leads to understanding, which leads to impact.
Thank you, Ray.